wasn't in FLS, I didn't really know how to open up my imagination, but now I just always let it free.
FLS, Further Literacy Support, is the third intervention programme to bolster achievement in literacy, with a large support component delivered by teaching assistants. Mary Bilios is a TA at St Mary's Primary School in South London.
Initially, I just started supporting children, individual children in the classroom, and then the offer of the FLS training came about, and the head teacher asked me if I would like to go on this training, and of course I jumped at the idea.
FLS is a 12-week programme aimed at Year 5 pupils, building their skills in 3 different literacy areas: persuasive writing, imaginative storytelling and chronological reports.
This morning we're going to look at a story about a child called Danny and how he gets on with school and learning.
The first FLS lesson is led by class teacher Dan Pickard to introduce everyone to the FLS idea. Although class teachers guide the overall programme, the bulk of it is delivered by teaching assistants like Mary to groups of 6 children outside the classroom. In this film, Mary is going to demonstrate the 3 modules that make up FLS and show us 3 of the 36 lessons. She's been running groups like this for 3 years.
In the beginning, I had to take the work home with me every day for ages, and even before each session I would sit down and vigorously go over it literally word by word and think, oh, have I got it right? And then I'd make little post-it notes for myself everywhere. But it's so well laid out for you, literally a step-by-step guide saying, this is what you do, this is how you can do it. After 3 years, though, I found that I just do it as I feel free now. Now, today's session, we're learning to persuade. We're learning to write to persuade.
I think initially when we both looked at the FLS programme, Mary and I were a bit taken aback by the level of work that was going to be required together as a partnership, but also from Mary as an individual, taking those 6 children and being responsible for them for those 3 sessions in the week.
In the beginning, I consulted with Dan most of the time. I used to say, this is what we're doing today, and and he'd say to me, well, you can do this and this, and he would always give me ideas of how to deliver it. So it was always very, very useful to me. When we look at adverts walking along the street, they jump out at us and they make us want to look, turn around and read what they say. The first module is very much helping children to be aware of their surroundings in terms of commercials, advertisements. Do you remember what a slogan is?
The promise of better meals to come.
Yes, it's something that you remember. A slogan is something that you go to bed and sometimes it just comes into your mind for no reason whatsoever. You can find another one. It was a real learning curve on being aware on what an advertisement is trying to do to the reader, to the passerby. What do you think of this? If you don't agree that VIP made those meals fantastic, just here, then we'll give you money back. Why is that wordplay? They're learning things like alliteration, exaggeration, what a snappy slogan is, the benefit of a product if there are any, or you can lie about that, of course. VIP will make everything taste delicious, so be careful what you put it on. Where would that fall into our key features, do you think? Yenike?
Exaggeration.
Exaggeration, yes. Be careful what you put it on. Identifying the key features of adverts was just one part of the final outcome of producing their own advert. Yes, vote for VIP, this full-flavoured candidate offering a fairer deal for dull dishes.
VIP, super tasty and super cool. Tempting, tasty treats. VIP, it's the best food source.
For weeks later, they would come in and say to me, Miss, I saw wordplay on that advert outside that supermarket, and I understood it.
VIP, the VIP, a tempting, terrific treat, and buy one, get one free. Good cooks cook with VIP.
What I'd like you to do is pretend that you're putting this key into your heads. You're turning the key round and round and round and round, and it's clicked. Module 2 is finding the key and unlocking the creative imagination. The doors open. Imagination, colour, it's just bursting, everything's flying around. You just have to put it all together. And the way we're going to do that is by telling our story. So what do we do first in a story? What would we do first?
Tell the setting.
Who's got the setting? Yannick.
In a nice green meadow, there was a golden temple.
Having the cards, I think, enormously helps the children to just try and visualise something that isn't in front of them, something that doesn't exist most of the time, something very, very bizarre. And the same with their hero and their heroine. It can be just something that's way back in their imagination. So we have our setting, we have our hero. What next do you think, Glenn?
Beast.
Our beast, our fantastic beast. And who has that? Deborah, you're going to make us quiver with fear.
A cyclops.
Ooh!
He's green and slimy.
Oh!
He's got one eye.
Yeah.
And he's only got a little bit of teeth.
A child can just sit there and look at the picture and just describe the picture, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what that picture does and where it is and where it can lead to. Is he anywhere near our meadow?
Our meadow.
And the temple?
Yeah, he lives under the mountains.
Near the temple?
Yeah.
I constantly have to prompt them, otherwise they'll just sit there and they'll just describe what they see and it won't go on from there. So I have to constantly prompt their ideas and develop them, really.
The hero's sister had lost a magic ring. She remembered of the temple that had a curse.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about this curse? Yannick, it was your setting, so perhaps now you've thought of something.
There lived a witch in
the temple. A witch lived in the temple, yes. They're constantly listening to each other and they're building from that, but not only building on the story, they're building their own character that they've introduced into the story.
Superhero met these women that looked like witches, but they gave him a special power so that he can get the ring back.
So it's not just talking about a hero, but this hero has to be part of what happened before and what's going to happen later on. Why did these women give him this special power?
Because they didn't like the witch that lived in there.
Now I understand. Now, can you see how we're linking and connecting all the different parts of our story, all the different recipe, the recipe is beginning to take some sort of shape, some sort of form. In the beginning, I was quite nervous about how I would portray everything that I needed to say to the children. I thought, would it come out right? You know, will they understand? Because often you find that with children, you've said something one way, some will understand and others won't. So you have to say the same thing in several different ways. So our ingredients are all going into the big bowl and we're beginning to mix them all together. The FLS programme is very demanding. It's very, very well resourced, but you have to be able to put everything together. But it's a great development curve because there is so much to do that you can do on your own. I can even chop and change some of the sessions if I like to suit the children, and sometimes I have done that. So today is just the beginning, as I said earlier, of what we're going to do. We will put together our own stories.
Long ago in France, a beautiful land.
Long ago when the sun shone and all the people smiled.
They'll begin with a setting and it can be anything, literally anything. And then they'll start from there introducing the characters, their fantastic beasts.
Ugly, horrible beasts appeared, stamping and destroying everything.
Angelica hid behind a blackberry bush, but there was something behind her.
Then Claudius punched the beast on the belly, really hard. Then the beast fell on the floor.
And of course the final resolution, which makes the hero an even bigger hero and saves the day. So they love that. They just get carried away with it.
That's why they all depended on him to save them from danger.
Who can tell me something about a chronological report? What does it mean to you? What does the word chronological mean? Module 3 is about report writing, chronological report writing. What does it mean?
Order things.
Very close.
Instructions.
Good girl. The children had to imagine that aliens wanted to visit and where would they land. And then from there, within their own mind's eye, they had to put themselves in the aliens' shoes and try and think, what would I do? What would I see on the way to St Mary's?
Out of the spaceship and go to the edge of the pavement and stop.
And stop.
Then cross the road.
Wait until the road is clear and then cross to the other side where you will see, and then you have to decide where they will be. It was entirely sort of focusing on being somebody else rather than just themselves and how they would see it through that other person's eyes. Think about something that you see once you cross the road. Children tend to sort of live in their own little enclave, in their own world, and anything beyond that, it has to be pointed out to them. Don't forget that you have to constantly give them landmarks as they walk. So you will say you will pass a restaurant, you will pass an estate agent. And I think that's why they struggled. They couldn't do that very easily. And that's very much what this module tries to get them out of, a little bit beyond that. Let's look at our target for this week. We have learnt how to adapt our writing for a particular purpose. So our purpose today was to give instructions, to use the imperative. Evaluations and monitoring of the children go on all the time, and at the end of each week there is an evaluation section within the programme, and both Dan and I will fill it in and we'll write about what we have thought that has come out of that week.
Out of the spaceship and walk straight and turn left. Look around you until the road is clear. When the green man shows, go forward to the sweet shop and stop there. Then turn right and go straight until you see a road which is called Crescent Lane. Go across the road and you will see a big black gate.
I always think they feel, oh yes, we made it. I've got to the school gates. I was able to press the buzzer and announce who I am.
Press the button and announce who you are. Press it and you're there.
I always like to see where the children start and where they finish at the end of the 12 weeks. And it's an enormous buzz, if you like, for me to think, yes, that child wasn't able to make 2 sentences, but now he's able to write a complete story and feel good about it at the end of it.
On the whole, we find that those children have really developed confidence in their own abilities, and to look then at the end of the year at the tracking documents which the school has in place and to see those children come through and how they've progressed in terms of the levels they're achieving in their writing.
I thought that it was good to teach and to help children do things like story writing and writing to persuade, because you never know, when we grow up you might be one of those people that need to write to persuade.
There are certain children within the group who initially come through and you can tell that they have these ideas but they never really know how to put them down on paper. So to see that at the end, I come out and I think, yes, I've done it today.